Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Suma's interrogation. Jake held on to me. I screamed and begged and ordered him to let me go, to let me keep healing the noble. But he never listened. Eventually, the guards arrested Jake and I. He was collared and like a normal familiar, and I was restrained with magic. Then we were taken to be questioned at a nearby guard station. I waited for a long time before anyone came in, and the first time they did it was to ask about Jake. I sat alone in that room with nothing but my thoughts. I thought about the noble, about what he did to me, about how I couldn't save him. I wondered if I even tried. In the moment, it felt like I was trying, but I failed. I asked myself if I'd done something different, would it have worked? If I'd been able to channel more of Jake's magic, could I have healed him? Questions plagued my mind, danced in my head like a snow in a blizzard. But no matter what thoughts came out or went in, there was only a single end to it. I didn't save him. A little while later, an investigator by the name of Hull came to question me. With him was a memory seeker whose job was to watch my memories as I was being questioned. Your familiar, Sentinel, already let us do a memory dub on him. We ask that you cooperate as well, Hull said. Yes, I said softly. The memory seeker stood beside me and cast a spell, and Hull began asking his questions. Can you tell us how and when you first met the nobles from the alley? I was in the meeting with the Grand Duke at the hall. He wanted to speak to me about my name and my familiar. After I left the meeting, I saw the nobles watching me. They must have followed me from City Hall because they found me after I had just finished eating. One of them called out to me. He started screaming at me and insulting me. He demanded that I go back to the Grand Duke and renounce my name, I explained. Do you know why he would choose you specifically? The Hall asked. What I mean is, there are many commoners that have names. Why did he go after you? He said that I didn't deserve it. He said that I practically named myself, and that meant that I'd stolen the honor that belonged to nobles, I told him. Why did he say that you had named yourself? Dahal asked suspiciously. Jake. He named me before he became my familiar, I said. I didn't order it or anything. I hadn't even asked him to be my familiar. He just decided to name me, I explained. In our world, ordering someone to give you a name is a crime. Technically, it's called theft of honor. Dahal looked over at the memory seeker, and she nodded. So, what happened after that? Dahal asked. The nobles attacked me. One of them threw a magic attack at me, and it broke a few of my ribs. I used some of my healing magic and flew away as fast as I could, I said. But they chased you? Dahal questioned. Yes. They all the way to the alley. In a panic, I summoned my familiar, Jake, I said. You've called him Jake twice now, but according to our record, your familiar's name is Sentinel. Dahal interrupted me. Yes, sorry. When he became my familiar, I had to choose a name for him, but his name is from his world as Jake. You used a naming bond for a familiar summoning. That's rather uncommon. Normally, naming bonds are only for important things like magical items. Why use it with a familiar? He wondered. That's harder to explain. I didn't actually mean to do it. When I was performing the ritual, I was forced to choose a name, I said, hoping that they didn't ask further questions about that. In truth, I had never seen a familiar bonding ritual like the kind I participated in. I still hadn't figured out what the voice was. I glanced over at the memory seeker, who at that moment looked like some mix of confused and terrified. The Hull noticed this too, but didn't say anything. They simply exchanged looks, and I wondered if they were employing some kind of thought communication spell so that they didn't need to speak in front of me. Well, anyway, you said they followed you into the alley and that you summoned your familiar. After he arrived, what happened? Dahal asked. After Jake appeared, he asked if I was okay, and if we would get into trouble if he defended us. The noble, he attacked us, hit him with what I think was a spell meant to attack life forces. Jake didn't have any physical injuries, but he became ill immediately. Jake hit the noble and I tried to speak, but I became too overwhelmed. I was on the verge of breaking down. I was breathing quickly. My heart rate was up. My stomach was upset. I'm sorry. Can I have a minute? Of course, sir. We can take a break for a few minutes. Do you need anything? Water? Food? The Hull asked, and the memory seeker stopped her spell. No, thank you. I just need to clear my head for a moment. The Hull and the seeker left the room for a few minutes, and I pulled myself together. I couldn't stop picturing in my head that noble screaming as I healed him. I broke down crying for a while, until I was able to get myself together. A while after I finished, the Hull and the memory seeker came back in and resumed the questioning after making sure that I was all right. Your familiar hit the noble after the noble attacked him. What happened after that? The Hull said, fluttering back onto his perch. I ran over to him and I tried to heal him with magic. I trained in healing and bonding magic at school, but I was running out of energy. I asked Jake for help, and I channeled his energy through me and used it to try and heal the noble. I don't know what happened. I performed that spell hundreds of times. It always works, but he just started screaming, I said. I was tempted to look over at the memory seeker, but I didn't. I could guess her reaction. You say you used healing magic, but according to our autopsy, only minimal healing was performed on the noble. In fact, there is evidence of torture magic being cast on him. Every bone in his body has microfractures. His muscles were shredded, and he had a total body bruise, as if every vessel inside of his skin had ruptured. I don't know how strong your familiar is, but I find it hard to believe that a single hit from him could do that kind of damage. So why don't you explain to me how he got those injuries? The Hull snapped. No, I stammered out. I used healing magic. I couldn't do something like that. Here's what I think, the Hull said. I think the noble attacked you, you attack your familiar, and you get mad. Then your familiar retaliates and leaves you at the perfect opportunity for revenge. No, I didn't. I wouldn't. I just keep looking at my memories. You'll see, I tried to say, but he cut me off. Memory magic has been around for quite some time, Miss Suma. You could have altered your memory to make it seem like you were innocent. The Hull cast a spell opening an entrance to the room, and the memory seeker ended a spell. Verify the status of your memories, then make a decision. For your sake, I hope that you're telling the truth, the Hull said as they flew out the room. Hours passed before the Hull came back. He told me that my memories had been proven genuine and that the lead interrogator of the case has decided not to press charges. I was led out of the room and was told to wait for my familiar. A few moments later, I saw him walking down the hallway. All the emotions and stress that I'd been mulling over in that room came to a head, and I felt an overwhelming need to go to him. I flew over and let everything out. Jake may have been the one to hit the noble, but I was the one to fail him. In my eyes, his death was my fault. In my eyes, I killed him. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps: Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Try Again 95, Pudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.